In the quiet of your heart, you are a worker of miracles. Your imagination is your connection with the great divine, with great spirit. When you dare imagine, then from the imagination, you become a creator of all that you imagine. Can we just be still now and lay back in our hearts in absolute stillness, watching the gentleness of our breath go in and out, and to know that all is well, because all is good and all is God and all is love. Is there a consciousness? Is there a light awakening in your heart? Do you feel yourself expanding, growing, becoming spiritual master you came here to be? When I ask you to come back, I'd like for you to take 60 seconds before you come back and gather yourself up in this beautiful garden where you are now. and come back with all this light and all this beauty. Don't leave it behind. 60 seconds from now, I'll ask you to come back. My dear friend, come on back now. Howdy, 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 my dear friends. It's so good to be here. And once again, I want to thank you for giving me the great honor of being your instructor and maybe your student as well. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do this evening, because we're on the very verge of something really enormous and something really amazing. This book is a mind blower. This book will change us. I've taught this class before, and I've read the book a couple of times, and it's deep and it's beautiful. And if we pay attention, it'll change our lives and it'll change us. The name of the class is Becoming Supernatural. The name of the book is Becoming Supernatural. What does supernatural mean? What does it mean to be supernatural? Are those just words? I think being supernatural means being who you really are. See, I think we're already supernatural. But I think we've got this lead weight over the top of us, holding us down. And the lead weight is all of our belief systems. If you're supernatural, your intuition is a guiding star. You intuit things. You intuit truths that you can't otherwise know. You know things through natural knowing that you otherwise wouldn't be able to know. And you create miracles intentionally. When you see a thing that needs to be done, you don't just use your hands or your feet or your money. You use your spiritual mind. And that great spiritual mind power comes forth for you when you are being who you really are, which is supernatural. And beliefs, the beliefs that keep us stuck, are just lazy thinking. Dr. Joe has told us in previous classes and in previous books that we think a thought, and that thought then creates an emotion, and that emotion creates a thought, and that thought creates an emotion, and the thoughts and emotions go around and around in a circle, and it's like we're on a merry-go-round. We don't ever change. So 95% of the thoughts that we had yesterday are the same thoughts we have today and the same thoughts we have yesterday or tomorrow. Now, that's not hypothesis, that's a fact. We think 95% of the same thoughts over and over again every day. Then what's to change? How will we ever change? So we have two kinds of belief systems. We have beliefs and then we have disbeliefs. And the beliefs keep us anchored because they say, only this is true. I've experienced this, so I know it's true. I've been there and I've done this and I know it's true. It's because I've experienced it. I've seen it. I maybe have seen it time and again. But let's go back to the first time you experienced whatever it was. The first time you experienced it, you had a judgment about that experience. And then the next time you experienced it, you brought the judgment along with it and judged that same experience the same way. And over again, we don't have new experiences. We have the same experience over and over again because the judgments don't allow us to experience it anew. And so that's lazy thinking. That's letting our belief systems sit on top of us and keep us from growing. And our disbelief systems. And our belief systems are doubt, avoidance, avoiding truth, avoiding anything that it doesn't seem like it fits with what I've experienced before or what my beliefs are before. So tonight I'm going to challenge you. And I'm going to challenge you throughout this course. With Dr. Joe at my side, we're going to challenge you to think anew, to stop thinking the same things. And later in the program, we're going to talk about how exactly to do that. But I'm going to ask you to start thinking, not only thinking differently, but thinking anew. And one way to do that is to stop having answers and start having questions. Because answers are not important. Because I tell you that every single question has a myriad of answers. Every single question. Why is the sky blue? How long have you got? Every question has so many answers. And they're physical and they're metaphysical. They're mental, they're emotional. They're spiritual, they're non-spiritual. They're all answers. If we're seeking questions rather than answers, then we're set free because we're always asking another question. I have a dear friend, Eleanor Clift, who was on the McLaughlin Hour, and she was a Newsweek reporter, and she's now in the Daily Beast reporter. She's a dear close friend of mine. She's my cousin. And Eleanor Clift, when I talk to Eleanor Clift, I always get a little embarrassed because here's this world famous journalist, and we're sitting talking, and I notice after a while that I'm the only one talking. And she's just asking me questions. She knows all the answers to the questions she's asking me. She may be asking me about politics or legislation or the pandemic or anything. And I'm always willing to just start spouting off all my answers. But all she's doing is asking questions. And why is she doing that? Because she knows that questions are more important than answers. Her questions are like a silver spade. She keeps digging deeper and deeper. And as she does, she uncovers new things. This is how Bob thinks about this. There's some merit in that. I'll add that to my box. I wonder why he thinks that way. That seems like it's way off base. But she's always asking, and she does that with everyone. That's good journalism. To know how to ask questions. That's good therapist. To know how to ask questions. That's a good minister and good counseling. To know how to ask questions. That's your path from this point forward, my dear friend. To ask questions. Don't get so hung up on the answers. The answers don't really matter. There are a lot of answers. Keep the question alive. Stay in the question. So now let's do a little sharing. We've got a little while, maybe 15 minutes, to hear what your thoughts are, to hear about what you learned in chapter 1, to see how your week went. So I'll just hush and let you talk for a minute. Please go ahead. Unmute yourself and step right into the arena. Dare to.
We are just giving you the capability to unmute right now. I think you should have it. Is it active?
Here you go, Margaret.
Oh,
There you are.
I don't have anything really to say at the moment. It's kind of unusual.
All right. Well, someone else step in then. Let's not let this time just drift by. And I know what you're thinking because I've been in that place too. Now, there's a lot of people listening, and what I have to say is really not that important. It doesn't have to be important. We'll find it. We will find it valuable. So step forward.
Hi, my name's Ryan, and yeah, I'm excited about the book because I been on doing a similar path myself with meditation, and I also got the heart math device, the EM wave, about 2 years ago, and that thing is just amazing. Like to get the feedback that whatever process I'm like, whatever meditation I'm trying or technique I'm trying is actually, coherent or beneficial. That device has helped me a lot. I mean, it just gives you feedback if your heart rate variability is in a coherent state. And if you meditate for 10 minutes like that, the benefit is you really feel the difference. So I'm really excited that he's doing work with using that with heart math, with whatever he's going to teach us to do, because I think that is exciting for me.
I agree, Ryan. The heart math is just absolutely beautiful, and I want to buy one of those. I just haven't got around to it, but I've talked to the people at Heart Math, and I know how they work, and they're absolutely amazing. I'm so glad you got one, and that you're telling us about it and demonstrating how it works with meditation. I think it's just a beautiful gift to have. Maybe I'll get it for my birthday.
Oh, it's really great. I take it to work and do it on my breaks, and it's great. When I first started at work, I wasn't in the coherent zone, but as I practice over time, I could stay more in that zone, even at work. So that's been great.
Have you read other of Joe Dispenza's books?
No, I haven't, but a good friend of mine raves about him. So
Good.
Looking forward to that.
Well, the word coherence is really central to his work because he believes that the coherence of the mind, the brain, the heart, the body, the whole neural system all have to be coherent in order for us to be able to do what we're here to do.
Oh yeah, and he did in the first chapter he described experiments that I always wanted to try, which was if I was coherent, would it help another person in the room become coherent? And he says they did that, and they were able to test it with their biofeedback devices. So yeah, I'm excited to learn more about that.
It's exciting stuff, really exciting. Thank you, Ryan. I'd like to read a couple of little excerpts that I thought were really interesting because it goes along with what we're doing here tonight. And this is on page, in case you're reading the book and you want to follow along, it's up to you. This is on page 3, like the 4th paragraph down. Every day, this is about Anna, the poor lady who went through all those terrible, terrible illnesses after her husband committed suicide. Every day, Anna relived the event over and over in her mind. What she didn't realize was that her body did not know the difference between the original event that created the stress response and the memory of that event. Her mind, her brain, her body didn't know the difference between the event actually happening and her remembering it happening. The body and the brain and the mind thought it was all happening again. Anna was producing the same chemistry in her brain and body as if the event were actually happening again and again. Subsequently, her brain was continually wiring the event into her memory bank and her body was emotionally experiencing the same chemicals from the past at least 100 times a day. By repeatedly recalling the experience, she was unintentionally anchoring her brain and body in the past. So that's why Dr. Joe tells us and asks us. I mean, it sounds almost silly when he says it, but he says you have to become a new person. You have to stop being who you are and become a new person. What he's saying is the who you are right now is not who you are. You see, the subconscious mind is so huge, so huge. I mean, it's trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of megabytes huge. It's so enormous, and it's going on all the time, and it tells us who we are. So the subconscious mind says, hey, buddy, this is who you are. I am who you are. Don't try to be different because I am who you are. That's your subconscious mind. That's the library filled with your experiences. And it isn't a book library. It's a CD, it's a DVD library. And they're all playing at the same time. You want me to prove it to you that you're all playing at the same time? What was the worst thing that ever happened to you when you were a teenager? Need more time? No, you don't, do you? What was the first time that you got really angry at your parents? You don't need more time. Those things are all still there. They're still playing. All you have to do is have a similar experience, and those start playing right again. And through those, you judge the present experience. So what Anna was doing is that she had fallen into that experience. And Dr. Joe talks about it in this chapter, but I want to repeat what he said. She actually became addicted to her pain. And when I said earlier to Margaret that there are people who can't get healed, most of them are addicted not to their pain. I mean, the pain is still pain, but they're addicted to the being that has that pain. And if they were to get rid of the pain, that means they'd have to get rid of that being. So they hang on to that being. And the pain qualifies that being. The pain designates that being. The pain approves, and proves that being is right, is truly who you are. And to get rid of the pain means you have to become somebody else. Many people are not willing to do that. Half of the people that are going to the hospitals would be going to the hospitals right now if people could just get that message. Elsewhere in the same chapter, right at the last of this chapter, in the last page, last paragraph, page 26, each of us has myriad possible incarnations that exist in the eternal present moment, all waiting to be discovered. When the mystery of the self is unveiled, we can wake up to the understanding that we are not linear beings living linear lives. We are dimensional beings living dimensional lives. The beauty behind the infinite probabilities that await us is that the only way we can change those futures is to change ourselves in the present infinite moment. In the present infinite moment. So here's how we change ourselves. Here's how we change that vast array of identities and keep those because they're experiences and we can learn from them because they've got a lot of wisdom stashed in around them. So we keep those. We don't get rid of them. We don't want to have amnesia. We don't lose all of that. We want to keep it, but we don't want it running our lives anymore. We don't want our ego to be our master. We want it to be our servant. So we need to get in charge. The way we do that, as I said earlier, is meditate. My gosh, Dr. Joe's going to show you a whole bunch of meditations. They're beautiful meditations. They're powerful meditations. They may not be your cup of tea for meditation. There's how to meditate online. I teach meditation classes. Randy teaches meditation classes. Janet teaches meditation classes. There's a lot of different ways to meditate. The thing of it is to get out of your thinking mind for a period of time long enough so that you remember who you really are. The next thing, and I'm going to ask you to do something now with this. The next thing is you have to be here now. See, the past is all fantasy. I don't know if you grew up with brothers and sisters, but if you grew up with brothers and sisters and you say, remember when dad ran over the dog, the next door neighbor's dog? Your brother will say, wasn't the next door neighbor's dog, that was our dog. Your sister will say, wasn't even a dog, it was a cat. See, everybody has their own experience of what happened. And they, by God, demand that you hear their side because they know it's right, because they can still see it in their mind. They still know it's true. They know that you're wrong. So who's really right? Nobody's right. Experiences are unique and individual. Everybody has their own experiences of a thing. Because we're all unique individuals, they all could go through our filters, and each one of us experience things differently. So the past is not real. Your memories are, you have memories for certain, but I promise you, they are not valid. Oh, there's some real meat on the plate there, but it's probably not the meat you think it is. You remember things, but you remember them, and as time goes by, and you put more and more and more experiences in, that one experience that happened years ago begins to be a little jaded. It gets a little turned by the new experiences. And after a while, your memory of it isn't close at all. But still, your ego says to you, this is who you are, your memories. So we can't do that, and we can't be in the past. And we can't be in the future, because the future is a fantasy. A lot of people say, I want to find God. I'd like to find God. You know what I'd like for once? I'd like God to appear to me. I'd really like that if I could meet God. God doesn't live in the past, and God doesn't live in the future. God lives right here, right now. And if I'm writing a letter with this pen, the place where this pen touches the paper is right here, right now. Everything before that was dried ink. It's not what I'm doing right now. Everything in front of this is empty paper. Where you are right here, right now, is right here, right now. Now, when we're talking about how to change ourselves, if you can't be right here, right now, we can't go forward. So I'm going to give you an affirmation. And those of you who have taken my last classes already know this affirmation. You better be getting back on it if you haven't. And that's, I am right here, right now, and I am a good and worthy person. I am right here, right now, and I am a good and worthy person. Now, do I really believe in that affirmation? I have been teaching that affirmation for about 5 years, and I do it probably 50 to 200 times a day myself. When I'm awake at night and I'm not sleeping and I have things on my mind, I am right here, right now. I look around my room at the shadows of a mounted trout on the wall, of a picture. I look around in my room, I look at things, and I keep saying, I'm right here, right now. And if you'll do that with me right now, as I'm talking, I can't hear you, but if you'll just say, I'm right here, right now. And as you're looking at the camera or looking at me on screen or wherever, just know that to bring your mind back and see, not just look, but see what you're looking at and hear my voice. Just hear me, hear my voice and see me. See the room around you. Be right here, right now. Don't future and don't past. Be right here, right now. Now, I can tell you, I promise you, that will change your life. That will empower you like you've never been empowered before. And meditation is one of the greatest pathways to being right here, right now. And then finally, on the path to changing yourself is this word, forgive. And I want to dwell on that just for a minute. I know you've heard all the lectures about forgiveness, and I know if you're in this class, you're a person who is forgiving. I know that about you. You are forgiving. I want you to go to another level of forgiving. This is called acceptance. Accepting everything exactly the way it is. And knowing this little mantra, it is the way it is. It is the way. It is the way it is. It is the way. Because nothing changes by me resisting it. Nothing changes by me resisting it. And acceptance and forgiveness are synonyms. It's actually the same word. Acceptance and forgiveness. To say when you're in pain, to say when you're disappointed, to say when things don't work out the way you want them to work out, or when things are great and everything's coming up roses, to say it is the way it is the way. It is the way it is. It is the way. Listen what happens when I do that fast. It is the way it is, 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 the way. It is the way it is, the way it is, the way it is, the way. See, it's just a cycle. It is the way it is. So forgiving is for me to stop trying to change what is. And if I don't like what is, or if what is not working for me, then let me create anew. Let me not argue and fight against what is, because what is. So if last week you slipped on the curb and sprained your ankle, and now it's all swollen up and you've got it up on a hassock and it's throbbing, it is the way it is. It is the way. What do I mean by it is the way? It is the way to your unfoldment. It is the way to your supernatural self. It's the way to enlightenment. It is the way. How do I know it's the way? Because it happened. Because it happened. If it happened, it is the way. It is the way it is. It is the way. And we must stop fighting against it. We have to use our energies for creating and co-creating, not resisting, not pushing back. Every great martial artist knows that. If somebody comes at you with a big swing, you don't block it. You get it and let it pull right through, take it right on through. And the person just goes over your head or wherever. But you don't go resist things. You accept things, and then they become usable for you. So the big lesson tonight, meditate, be here now. I am right here, right now, and I am a good and worthy person. Like I said, I'm doing that 50 to 200 times a day. How many times can you do it? If it'll change your life, how many times are you willing to do that? And then to forgive, to just no longer judge or want things or people to be different, to accept them exactly the way they are. And then if you need to change, to create something new, create something new. So we're going to go to breakout rooms. And the question in your breakout room, what thinking must I give up in order to have transcendental experience? What thinking must I give up to have a transcendental experience? Now, before you go to the breakout rooms, let me tell you that I have learned from our breakout rooms that in some of our breakout rooms, everybody's not staying right on the question. In our breakout rooms, what sometimes is happening is that people are starting to chat about other things, or to tell life stories, or tell stories that we've heard a million times before. I know that there may be a bit of a resistance to going into the depth of the question, because it's asking us to really step up, isn't it? It's asking us to dig deep. It's asking us to, in front of other people, to show ourselves, to say, what thinking must I give up? Well, I guess I have to stop being a victim. And I have to stop blaming, and whatever it is, you got to be willing to say it. We're a family. We're in this together. we're swimming this river together. And you've got to be willing to stay on target with this. These breakout rooms are really vital to this program. So if somebody's off target and somebody's just chatting and somebody's not staying on the question, we very gently and kindly remind them of what the question is that we're supposed to be answering.